Don't believe everything you think. How to Stop Overthinking and Start Living, read and published by Mr. Books. Each day, millions find themselves caught in a loop, a labyrinth built from their own thoughts. Worries about the future, ruminations on the past, self-doubt and endless analysis leave us feeling stuck and exhausted. In a world that prizes intellect and reason, our minds can become both the greatest asset and the heaviest burden. So often, we are told to think carefully, analyze the situation, or prepare for anything, but few warn that unchecked thinking can spiral into overwhelming anxiety, indecision, and a paralyzed spirit. Overthinking stands as one of the quietest sources of suffering. It convinces us that each thought is urgent, every problem needs solving, and that peace lies somewhere in the perfect answer. Just one more thought away, but as days pass, the answers seem further from reach, and the joy of living slips away. Beneath the surface of chronic rumination, this book is an invitation to reclaim your life from overthinking. It does not promise to erase the mind's natural activity or to make every day effortless. Rather, it offers compassionate wisdom, practical tools and gentle encouragement to help you see that not every thought deserves your attention, nor is each one true. By adopting new perspectives and daily practices, you can learn to find peace within thoughts rather than despite them. In these pages, you will explore the powers of gratitude and acceptance, learn how to emerge stronger from setbacks, and discover tangible ways to bring clarity to your mind. You will be challenged not to think harder or to fix yourself, but to become more present, authentic, and free. As you walk this journey, you will begin to trust yourself again, simplify your days, and offer yourself the kindness you truly deserve. Don't believe everything you think. Journey beyond overthinking. Be your companion as you take steps, sometimes small, sometimes bold, toward a quieter mind and a more vibrant life. Together, we will unravel the myths of overthinking and begin to live with renewed energy, hope, and peace. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button to support the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an audiobook that could change your life. Now let's begin. Enjoy. Chapter 1, The Prison of Thought, Why We Overthink. We are creatures of thought, wielding an extraordinary tool capable of invention, imagination, and problem-solving. Yet for many, thought is not always a friend. It can become a relentless captor, chaining us to worries, doubts, and imagined catastrophes, none of which exist except in the mind's secret chambers. Overthinking is a universal condition, yet deeply individual in its manifestation. Why do we overthink? And how does this innocuous mental habit grow into an invisible prison? Overthinking begins as a self-protective reflex. The mind, engineered by evolution to anticipate danger and plan for the future, constantly scans for potential threats, real or imagined. In ancient times, this tendency increased our odds of survival. Hyper-awareness and vigilance might save us from a lurking predator or ensure we gather enough resources for the winter. But in a world where physical threats are rare and most dangers are psychological, this mechanism often malfunctions. Routine challenges, a meeting at work, a social engagement can become arenas for catastrophic thinking. The prison of thought tightens its grip through repetition. When we chew over the same worries, searching for certainty or safety, neuronal pathways in the brain are reinforced. The more we think about something, the easier it becomes to think about it again. Like a well-worn path through a forest, the route of overthinking becomes familiar, automatic. The mind convinces itself that overthinking is helpful, even necessary, yet it rarely delivers what it promises: solutions, relief, or comfort. Central to this prison is rumination. The process of repeatedly turning over a situation in our minds, analyzing past events, or imagining future outcomes. Rumination masquerades as problem-solving, but perpetuates distress rather than alleviating it. Instead of clarity, we find ourselves mired in confusion. Instead of peace, we experience anxiety. The compulsion to overthink is exacerbated by a lack of trust in ourselves, in life, or in the benevolence of the unknown. We mistakenly think that thinking controls our actions. We believe that by mentally rehearsing every possible scenario, we can avoid pain or disappointment. Yet ironically, persistent overthinking is itself a source of suffering. It amplifies perceived threats, magnifies failures, and shrinks our sense of possibility. Our culture plays no small part. In a society that idolizes intellect, planning, and analysis, being a thinker is celebrated. We are taught from a young age to think things through, to be cautious, to anticipate and plan for every contingency. These traits can be virtues, but when unchecked, they morph into paralysis. Life becomes a chess game where every move is scrutinized, every possible outcome pre-lived, and spontaneity is relegated to the sidelines. The prison of thought is both personal and collective. For some, overthinking occurs in spurts, during periods of stress or when making major life decisions. For others, it is a chronic companion, shaping their experience hour by hour. Its symptoms are familiar: sleepless nights, a racing mind, difficulty making decisions, and an inability to relax. The mind becomes an arena of ceaseless activity, a hamster wheel spinning but never arriving. But there is hope, and it begins with awareness. The first key to liberation is the realization that we are overthinking, that our minds are caught in a loop, incessantly replaying old tapes or rehearsing future fears. With this insight, we create the possibility for change. It is possible to step outside the prison, to disidentify from thought, and to reclaim the freedom to simply live. The chapters ahead will guide you deeper into the architecture of this prison, revealing its illusions, exposing its traps, and offering practical steps toward release. You will discover that thoughts do not equal truths, that anxiety can be quieted, and that presence can be cultivated. The mind, so long a master, can become a trusted servant. The path out of overthinking is not one of force or resistance, but of gentle exploration and understanding. By illuminating why we overthink, we begin to loosen the shackles of mental habit and take the first steps toward living more fully, with greater clarity, ease, and joy. Chapter 2. Illusions of the Mind. Thoughts are not facts. The mind is a master illusionist, conjuring images, stories, and judgments with effortless speed. For most of us, thoughts parade through consciousness as self-evident truths, seducing us into believing every narrative they spin. Yet at the heart of cognitive liberation lies a radical proposition. Thoughts are not facts. The distinction, though subtle, is transformative. Every day we experience a torrent of inner chatter. Some thoughts are mundane. What will I eat for dinner? Others, more dramatic. I'm not good enough. Something terrible will happen. Without awareness, these thoughts are swallowed whole, shaping our emotions, actions, and self-image. The mind's stories become our reality, not because they are true, but because we believe them. Consider the mind as a storyteller. Its tales are constructed from memories, beliefs, wishes, and fears. Sometimes these stories are helpful, guiding us toward goals or away from harm. More often, however, the mind's narrative is colored by bias and distortion. Psychological studies have mapped dozens of cognitive distortions, flawed patterns of thinking that lead us astray. These include catastrophizing, expecting the worst, personalization, blaming oneself for everything, and black and white thinking, seeing things as all good or all bad, among others. Each distortion is a trick of the mind, an illusion masquerading as fact. When we believe these distortions, they dictate our mood and behavior. A passing thought, "I will never succeed," can trigger despair or paralysis. Yet the truth is simple. A thought is a momentary mental event, not reality itself. This principle underlies cognitive therapy, a psychological approach proven effective for anxiety and depression. Therapists teach clients to observe thoughts without automatically accepting them. Just as clouds drift across the sky, thoughts pass through the mind. Some are helpful, many are not. The power lies in discernment, the ability to pause, notice a thought, and question its validity. Begin by asking, is this thought indisputably true? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? By applying these questions, the mind's authority is challenged. A new stance emerges, one of skepticism, curiosity, and compassion. Recognizing the illusory nature of thought is not about suppressing thinking. It is about redefining our relationship with it. Imagine thoughts as passing visitors, offering commentary on the events of your life. Some provide useful guidance, others reflect old wounds or habitual fears. Instead of inviting every thought to stay and dominate your experience, you can choose which deserve attention, which can be gently let go. When you learn to see thoughts as mental events rather than absolute truths, emotional distress diminishes. Anxiety loses its grip, self-criticism softens. You find space between stimulus and response, freedom to choose how you relate to your own mind. This realization extends beyond individual thoughts to entire belief systems. Some people spend years, even decades, living with limiting beliefs. I am unlovable. I can't change. The world is dangerous. These beliefs began as thoughts, repeated and reinforced until they became invisible frameworks for life. But just as thoughts are not facts, neither are beliefs. When you question a belief, exploring its origins, challenging its accuracy, you open the door to transformation. The ability to recognize illusion brings immense liberation. It allows us to see the stories for what they are, mental constructions, not objective realities. It grants us the freedom to rewrite old narratives, break free from inherited scripts, and live more authentically. Practicing awareness of illusion is a daily commitment. It begins with mindfulness, noticing thoughts as they arise, labeling them, worrying, judging, planning, and letting them pass. It involves self-compassion, treating yourself kindly when the mind spins tales of inadequacy or fear. And it requires courage, the willingness to examine deeply held beliefs, even when they feel safe or familiar. As you journey through this book, keep returning to this anchor. Thoughts are not facts. This simple truth is the foundation upon which freedom from overthinking is built. By learning to see the mind's illusions, you reclaim power over your experience, choosing clarity, presence, and peace over confusion and distress. Chapter 3. The Spiral Trap. How Overthinking Fuels Anxiety. Anxiety and overthinking are intimate companions, perpetually feeding one another in a relentless spiral. Understanding their interconnection is crucial to breaking free of the grip they hold on our lives. The spiral begins subtly, a single troubling thought, a hint of doubt or a flicker of fear. Before you realize it, the mind seizes upon this uncertainty, churning out one anxious scenario after another until calm is drowned. In a sea of agitation, why does overthinking fuel anxiety so effectively? The answer lies in the biology and psychology of anticipation. The human mind is programmed to predict, to analyze, and to prepare for potential dangers, whether social, emotional, or physical. This predictive faculty can be a gift, increasing our adaptability. But when unregulated, it becomes poison. Imagine you receive a vague text from a friend. "Can we talk?" Instantly, the mind springs into action. Did I do something wrong? Are they angry? Is this the end of our friendship? Each question spawns another, escalating from mild worry to full-blown concern. The body responds as if facing a true threat. Shallow breath, tense muscles, pounding heart. The imagination outpaces reality, manufacturing stress where none exists. This is the spiral trap. One anxious thought leads to another, which amplifies the emotion, which fuels further worrying. The process becomes self-reinforcing. The more you think anxiously, the more anxious you become. And the more anxious you feel, the more your mind produces anxious thoughts. The cycle can be endless unless interrupted. At the heart of this spiral is a fundamental misunderstanding, the belief that worrying will ward off danger or provide control. In reality, chronic overthinking rarely produces helpful solutions. Instead, it saps mental and physical energy, creating a state of chronic agitation. Research shows that people who ruminate are more likely to suffer from anxiety disorders, insomnia, and physical illnesses related to stress. The spiral trap is exacerbated by three factors: uncertainty, perfectionism, and fear of negative outcomes. When faced with the unknown, the mind leans on overthinking as an attempt to find certainty. Perfectionism, holding oneself to unattainable standards, fuels self-critical rumination. Meanwhile, fearing the worst makes the mind scan continually for threats, keeping anxiety alive. Breaking free from the spiral requires awareness and intervention. The first step is recognition, noticing when your thoughts begin to snowball out of control. Catch yourself in the act, pause, label, and breathe. Observe the anxious thought, note the emotional response, and gently ask, is this helping me? Often, the answer reveals the futility of continuing along that path. Mindfulness practices are powerful allies against the spiral trap. By training attention to return to the present moment, you interrupt the cycle of future-oriented worrying. Simple breathing exercises, guided meditations, or grounding techniques can restore a sense of calm, reminding you that fear is a mental construct, not a fact. Perspective shifting is equally important. Instead of asking, what could go wrong? Try asking, what evidence do I have for this fear? Or, what is the most likely outcome? Challenge catastrophic thinking. Look for alternative explanations or outcomes. With practice, the mind learns to soften its grip. Anxiety diminishes, and a sense of confidence slowly returns. The spiral trap can also be alleviated by engaging the body. Physical movement, walking, stretching, exercise helps discharge anxious energy and interrupts the mental loop. Slow, intentional breaths signal the nervous system to relax, breaking the link between mind and body panic. Overthinking and anxiety are formidable adversaries, but they are not invincible. They thrive in the absence of awareness and dissolve under the light of attention. By noticing their spiral, practicing mindfulness, and shifting perspective, you unhook from the trap. The mind becomes quieter, the body more relaxed, and life opens with greater possibility. As you move forward in this book, remember, anxiety is not a life sentence, nor is overthinking a fixed trait. Both are habits, learned, reinforced, and thus unlearnable. The spiral trap can be escaped. The journey begins with a single step of conscious attention. Chapter 4. Detaching from the inner critic. The inner critic is a relentless voice, echoing inside many minds with unwavering authority. It scrutinizes, judges, and berates, turning every minor misstep into an indictment of worth. For those who overthink, the inner critic is both jailer and prosecutor, amplifying doubt and making escape seem impossible. Detaching from the inner critic is paramount. But first, we must understand its origins and mechanisms. This voice often develops early in life, shaped by parental criticism, cultural expectations, or past failures. Its intention is self-protection, motivating us to avoid mistakes, fit in, or excel. Over time, however, the critic becomes overbearing, inhibiting growth and self-compassion. The critic wields a sharp tongue. You're not smart enough. You always mess things up. Everyone is judging you. These attacks seem personal, but they are recycled phrases, echoes from childhood, society, or past disappointments. The critic's power lies in identification. We mistake its voice for our true self. When we are unaware, its words pass unchallenged, shaping our beliefs, behaviors, and emotional climate. Liberation begins with observation. Notice when the critic speaks. What triggers its commentary? Are there patterns, certain situations, relationships, or failures? Awareness strips the critic of invisibility. When you observe its voice as a mental event rather than an absolute truth, its grip weakens. You are not the critic, you are the observer. A powerful technique is externalization. Imagine the inner critic as a character, perhaps a strict teacher, a worried parent, or a sarcastic companion. Give it a face, a name, even a personality. By personifying the critic, you create distance. Instead of, "I am a failure," hear the critic say, "You failed." With distance, discrimination grows, the ability to reject, accept, or ignore the critic's advice. Self-compassion is the antidote to criticism. When your mind launches an attack, pause and respond as you would to a friend. "I hear you, but everyone makes mistakes. It's okay to feel anxious. I am enough." These gentle replies undermine the critic's narrative, fostering kindness and acceptance. Questioning the critic is transformative. Ask, "Would I speak this way to someone I love? Is this criticism fair or helpful? What does the evidence suggest?" Often, the critic's words crumble under scrutiny, revealed as exaggerations or outright falsehoods. Detaching does not mean conquering or silencing the critic forever. The voice may persist, but its influence fades when you learn not to identify with it. Approach it with curiosity, even amusement. "Ah, there you are again." Treat it as a visitor, not a permanent resident. Mindfulness greatly aids detachment. When the critic arises, notice the thought. Label it judging, criticizing, and return to the present. Do not follow the critic's advice down the rabbit hole of rumination. Observe, breathe, and redirect attention to what matters. In the process, you will discover new voices within, those of encouragement, wisdom, and acceptance. The field of inner dialogue expands, no longer monopolized by criticism. The mind becomes a place of possibility, resilience, and self-love. Detachment is an ongoing practice. There will be days when the critic overwhelms, and days when its voice is faint. Your freedom lies in your capacity to notice, question, and relate to it from a space of kindness. You are not your critic. You are the conscious, compassionate observer. This is a journey of reclamation. As you detach from the critic, you recover self-esteem, creativity, and peace. The prison walls begin to crumble, replaced by confidence and authenticity. In this spaciousness, overthinking loses its foundation and living fully becomes possible. Chapter 5. The Power of Awareness, Catching Thoughts in Action. Awareness is the master key to liberation from overthinking, anxiety, and rumination. It is the gentle light that reveals the mind's mechanisms and the invitation to reclaim agency over one's inner landscape. When you catch thoughts in action, see them arise, flourish, and dissolve, you interrupt habitual patterns and create space for change. What is awareness, and why is it so transformative? Awareness is the conscious recognition of what is happening as it happens. It is attention unclouded by distraction, judgment, or avoidance. In the context of overthinking, awareness means seeing thoughts for what they are, mental events, not mandates. The practice of awareness begins with mindfulness. Sit quietly, focus on your breath. As thoughts arise, notice them with curiosity. Worrying about work, judging myself, planning tomorrow. Do not resist or chase thoughts. Simply observe their coming and going. Each act of noticing weakens the spell of identification. Catching thoughts in action requires practice. Minds conditioned to overthink will wander easily, returning to habitual loops. The challenge is not to stop thinking, but to notice thinking. With repetition, awareness strengthens and the mind's grip loosens. The benefits are profound. When you observe a thought as it occurs, you become less likely to react automatically. You gain the precious space to choose your response rather than falling into unconscious habit. This space is liberation. It is the difference between reacting and responding, between suffering and freedom. Awareness unearths unconscious patterns. Perhaps your mind worries most before sleep or after criticism. With observation, you begin to see the mind's choreography, its triggers and routines. This knowledge empowers change. You shift from victim to witness, from captive to creator. Awareness also brings humility and compassion. When you see your mind worrying or judging, you understand that these are universal human experiences. There is no shame in overthinking, only the opportunity to grow. With kindness, you watch your thoughts, learning their nature without judgment. Practicing awareness is possible in every moment. Throughout the day, pause and notice your mental state. Are you present or lost in thought? Are you replaying the past or imagining the future? Each act of noticing is a victory, a step toward clarity. Awareness extends beyond thought to emotion and sensation. Notice anxiety in the body, the tension, restlessness, and breath changes. See the link between mental events and physical responses. Awareness of this connection allows you to diffuse anxious patterns and foster well-being. Techniques abound. Set reminders to pause and notice. Use tools such as journaling or meditation apps. Practice mindful walking, eating, or engaging in everyday tasks with full attention. Each practice grounds you in the present, anchors you in awareness. Catching thoughts in action is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong skill, a discipline cultivated moment by moment. Over time, when you notice the mind's activity, its power fades. You become the observer, the master, the one who chooses. The power of awareness is transformative because it renders unconscious habit visible. When the mind's workings are exposed, you reclaim the freedom to live with intention, clarity, and peace. This chapter is your invitation to cultivate awareness, to catch your thoughts, change your relationship with them, and discover the liberation that awaits. Chapter 6. Reframing reality, shifting perspectives. Perspective is the lens through which we interpret every event, emotion, and interaction. For overthinkers, these lenses can distort reality, magnifying fears and shrinking possibilities. But what if, instead of accepting these default views, we could reframe reality, shifting our perspective to create clarity, flexibility, and hope? The act of reframing is not denial. It's an invitation to see the world anew. It begins with recognizing that each thought, belief, and narrative is just one possible interpretation among many. Psychological research calls this cognitive flexibility, the ability to shift perspectives and adapt to change, which is fundamental to emotional resilience. Consider frustration at work. An overthinker might interpret a challenging project as proof of inadequacy. I can't do this. I'm failing. Reframing begins by asking, is there another way to see this? Perhaps the challenge is an opportunity for growth, a chance to develop new skills or collaborate with others. The story changes from defeat to empowerment. Reframing is not about positive thinking for its own sake. It means gently questioning assumptions and exploring alternative viewpoints. Techniques include "But the what else" game. For every negative thought, generate 3 alternative explanations. If a friend is brief in conversation, instead of "they're upset with me," you might consider "they're busy," "they're distracted," or "it's nothing personal." 2. Role reversal. Imagine seeing the situation from another person's perspective. How would they describe what happened? What motives or information might they possess that you do not? Scale and time. Ask yourself, how important will this be in 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year? Often anxiety amplifies the immediacy of events. Reframing places them in proportion. Values. Check. What is truly meaningful in this scenario? Reframing allows you to align your response with your deeper values rather than temporary fears. Scientific studies link reframing with enhanced resilience and well-being. In therapy, reframing helps clients overcome traumatic experiences, challenging their perceptions and finding new narratives. In daily life, it empowers you to approach challenges with curiosity rather than avoidance. The process requires practice. When you feel yourself spiraling, pause and ask, is there another way to understand this? Write down multiple perspectives. Notice which ones bring relief, possibility, or hope. Over time, you condition your mind to seek flexibility over rigidity, openness over certainty. Reframing does not erase pain or difficulty, but it renders them more manageable. By shifting perspective, you grant yourself permission to be imperfect, to adapt, and to grow. Life becomes less a series of crises and more a tapestry of experiences, each open to broader understanding. This chapter invites you to practice cognitive flexibility daily. With every shift in perspective, you reclaim a little more freedom from your anxious mind and move closer to living with clarity and confidence. Chapter 7. The Mind-Body Connection. Stress, Thoughts, and Health. Modern science confirms what ancient wisdom has long known. The mind and body are inseparable, in constant dialogue. Your thoughts influence not only your mood, but your physiology. Overthinking, anxiety, and stress are not confined to the mind. They manifest in the body, sometimes in ways that deeply affect health. The mind-body connection is dynamic. When you experience chronic overthinking, the brain signals the body to prepare for fight or flight. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood the system, elevating heart rate, tightening muscles, and suppressing digestion. Over time, this stress response takes a toll, leading to headaches, insomnia, digestive disorders, immune dysfunction, and even cardiovascular issues. You might notice subtle clues: tense shoulders, clenched jaw, shallow breathing. These physical manifestations are not random. They are the body echoing the turmoil of the mind. When thoughts spiral, the body absorbs the impact. Conversely, physical well-being influences mental states. Poor sleep, lack of exercise, and nutritional deficiencies can amplify anxiety and make overthinking more pervasive. It is a two-way relationship, each aspect shaping the other. To break the cycle, awareness and action are required. Begin by noticing physical symptoms associated with overthinking. When you feel anxious or overwhelmed, scan your body for signs of tension. Pause, breathe deeply, and gently encourage relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation, yoga, and Tai Chi are proven methods for releasing stored stress. Movement is medicine. Regular exercise boosts endorphins. The body's natural mood stabilizes and improves sleep quality. Even a short walk can help diffuse anxiety, giving the mind a break from relentless rumination. Nutrition matters. Diets high in sugar and processed foods can spike anxiety and destabilize mood. A balanced diet, rich in whole grains, lean proteins, fruits, and vegetables, supports brain health and resilience. Hydration is equally important. Dehydration can increase irritability and brain fog. Rest is essential. Chronic overthinking often disrupts sleep, creating a vicious cycle of fatigue and anxiety. Establishing a sleep routine, limiting screens before bed, creating a calm environment can restore restorative rest. Mind-body practices foster integration. Meditation, mindfulness, and breathwork help recalibrate the nervous system, promoting calm and clarity. Even 5 minutes of daily practice can provide residual benefits throughout the day. If you struggle with physical symptoms of chronic stress, consult with healthcare providers. The intersection of mind and body is complex, and professional guidance can help you chart a path toward recovery. In this chapter, you have explored the deep ties between thought, stress, and physical health. By caring for both mind and body, you create conditions for healing, resilience, and well-being. Remember, freedom from overthinking is not just mental liberation, it is a holistic renewal. Absolutely. Here is a comprehensive outline and detailed draft in English for the book, using a captivating title inspired by your keywords. The writing style will be descriptive and the tone empathetic, as you requested. Chapter 8, Breaking Free from Rumination. The mind is a marvel of creation, capable of incredible feats of reasoning, imagination, and empathy. Yet one of its most persistent tendencies is rumination, the compulsive rehashing of past events, conversations, or mistakes, often tinged with regret or self-criticism. This mental habit can feel like a prison, a cycle that seems impossible to escape. Rumination is psychologically exhausting. It isn't mere reflection, it's an endless replay, often looping around the what-ifs and if-onlys that chain us to the past. It forms a narrative that keeps our attention away from the present moment and locked in a story of loss, grievance, or failure. Over time, rumination damages self-esteem, increases stress, and even amplifies symptoms of anxiety and depression. To break free from rumination, the first step is recognition, the gentle noticing of when your thoughts begin to spiral. This is not about harsh self-judgment. Instead, it's an act of self-care, a compassionate gesture toward yourself. I see you, mind, spinning these scenarios again. Recognizing rumination allows us to step out of autopilot and reclaim the ability to choose. Pause for a moment. Notice the flavor of your thoughts. Are you cycling through something that has long passed? Are you rehearsing past mistakes, imagining different outcomes? Are you stuck in a loop of blame, disappointment, or regret? When we become aware of rumination, we can introduce an interruption, a subtle disruption that creates space for change. One effective strategy is a mental stop sign. Visualize a bright red stop sign each time you catch yourself ruminating. This simple mental image can act as a cue to shift your focus. At first, your mind will resist. Rumination has become a habit, wired through repetition. But with persistence and patience, you can retrain your brain to pause and redirect. Next, bring your awareness to your body. Rumination is not only a mental act, it is also physical, manifesting as tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, or shallow breathing. Taking a few deep breaths, dropping your shoulders and softening your jaw can signal to your body that it's time to relax, breaking the grip of the rumination cycle. Acceptance is key. Instead of battling with your thoughts, notice them and let them be. Allowing rumination to exist without giving it power over your mood is itself a form of liberation. You are more than your thoughts. By observing them with gentle curiosity, you can begin to disengage their power over you. Lastly, engage with the present. Try sensory grounding. What do you hear, see, feel in this moment? The aroma of coffee, the soft hum of morning traffic, the warmth of sunlight on your skin. These anchors can pull your mind from the swirling eddies of rumination and settle you back into the here and now. Breaking free from rumination is not an overnight process. It is the slow, patient unraveling of old patterns, the cultivation of self-compassion, and the practice of presence. Every time you catch yourself ruminating and choose to pause, breathe, and return, you are exercising a new mental muscle, a pathway toward freedom, peace, and clarity. Embrace this practice gently. With time, those cycles of rumination will loosen, replaced by a spaciousness that allows true living. You deserve to be present for your own life. The journey begins with this simple act of noticing, pausing, and returning. Chapter 9. Focus on the now. Living in the present moment. Our lives unfold in the now. Each breath, every heartbeat, every fleeting moment of sunlight on our skin. Yet, as humans, we so often dwell amid memories of the past or anxieties about the future, missing the richness that blooms only in the present. Learning to focus on the now is a profound shift, a reunion with life itself. Why is living in the present so challenging? Our minds are wired for survival, perpetually scanning for threats, opportunities, and unresolved issues. This relentless orientation toward what's next, or what was, leaves little space for what actually is. In this chapter, we uncover techniques to reclaim the now and savor its gifts. The present moment is an invitation. Each time you pause to pay attention, you renew your connection with yourself, your environment, and the world around you. Begin by establishing simple rituals of awareness. In the quiet moments of your day, upon waking, before sleep, during a coffee break, bring your attention to your breath. Notice its rhythm, its depth, its movement within you. This small practice grounds you in the present. Next, awaken your senses. They are your direct pathway into the now. When you eat, notice the flavors, textures, and aromas. When you walk, feel your feet touching the earth, the breeze on your cheeks. Your senses are always rooted in the present. Cultivating this awareness quiets mental chatter and brings clarity. Often, we avoid the now because it contains discomfort. Unpleasant emotions, difficult situations, or boredom can make us want to escape into thought. Yet, the present is where healing happens. By learning to stay gently without judgment with whatever arises, you nurture resilience and acceptance. Say to yourself, this moment is enough. I am enough in this moment. Technology and constant distraction are modern barriers to presence. We can spend hours scrolling, lost in digital landscapes. Choose moments of intentional disconnection. Turn off your phone, step outside, allow yourself space to be without input. Notice what arises: restlessness, curiosity, peace. Let these be your teachers. Letting go of the past or future does not mean forgetting your responsibilities or dreams. It means meeting each task and aspiration with the fullness of your attention. Right now, when you work, work wholeheartedly. When you converse, listen deeply. When you rest, rest without guilt. These acts of presence transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Living in the now restores joy, reduces anxiety, and heals. The fragmentation of mind and spirit. Like sunlight streaming through windows, your awareness bathes each moment in warmth and clarity. With practice, you will find yourself more at ease, more adaptive, and more genuinely alive. Remember, life is a collection of moments, unique, precious, fleeting. The richness of your experience is not in the distant horizon, but in the step you take right now. Focus on the now, and you will find that peace is always within reach. Chapter 10. Mindfulness as an antidote to overthinking. Mindfulness is the art of paying attention with openness, curiosity, and kindness. It is a simple, profound practice that untangles the knots of overthinking and invites spaciousness into The mind. Where rumination fuels anxiety and doubt, mindfulness offers an antidote: clarity, acceptance, and grounded action. At its core, mindfulness is not about emptying the mind or suppressing thoughts. Instead, it's about noticing what arises, acknowledging its presence and letting it pass like clouds drifting across the sky. This gentle noticing breaks the automaticity of overthinking and creates choice, a moment-to-moment freedom. Begin by cultivating mindful awareness throughout your day. As you read these words, notice your posture, your breath, your emotional tone. Allow yourself to arrive fully in this moment. When thoughts invade, "I should do more. What did I forget?" greet them with kindness. "Hello, thought." This simple act diminishes the thought's power over your mood. Mindfulness meditation is a practice that rewires the brain. Sitting quietly, focusing on your breath or a chosen anchor, you witness your thoughts without attachment or judgment. Over time, this strengthens your ability to observe rather than react, fostering emotional resilience and cognitive flexibility. In daily life, weave mindfulness into actions: washing dishes, walking, waiting in line. Each mundane moment becomes an opportunity to practice presence. You will notice that thoughts, especially anxious or self-critical ones, become less sticky. They appear, you notice them, and they pass. The urge to ruminate fades as you develop the skill of gentle redirection. Mindfulness also enhances emotional intelligence. Rather than being swept away by anger, sadness, or fear, you learn to hold these feelings lightly. I feel sadness. Not "I am sad," but "I notice sadness is here." This subtle shift allows for greater acceptance and reduces emotional reactivity. Practical mindfulness exercises include body scans, loving-kindness meditations, and mindful movement, such as yoga or Tai Chi. These practices anchor attention and cultivate compassionate self-awareness. Research shows that regular mindfulness practice reduces symptoms of anxiety, depression, and even chronic pain. In relationships, mindfulness enables a deeper connection. Listening with full attention, speaking with authenticity, and noticing your reactions all lead to greater empathy and understanding. Your interactions become less defensive and more open. The journey of mindfulness is a gentle one. Begin with small steps. 2 minutes of mindful breathing, 1 mindful walk, a conscious meal. Celebrate each moment of awareness. With time, mindfulness will become your refuge, a steady companion that guides you through life's storms and calms the restless mind. Mindfulness is not a destination, but a way of being, a daily commitment to show up for your life with courage and kindness. As you practice, overthinking loosens its grip, revealing the spaciousness and clarity that are your birthright. Chapter 11. Emotional freedom. Managing feelings without judgment. Emotions are at the heart of human experience: joy and sorrow, hope and fear, love and longing. Yet for many, emotions are battlegrounds, places of conflict and self-reproach. We judge ourselves for feeling too much or not enough, masking our true selves behind walls of numbness or suppression. Achieving emotional freedom means welcoming your feelings as honored guests, learning to manage them without judgment or avoidance. To begin, recognize that every emotion has a purpose. Anger signals a boundary, sadness speaks of loss, joy invites connection. No emotion is inherently bad or wrong. It is our relationship with feeling that creates suffering. When we judge, suppress, or try to control emotions, they often intensify, showing up in unexpected and disruptive ways. Cultivating emotional freedom starts with self-compassion. When a difficult emotion arises, adjust your self-talk. It's okay that I feel this. Allow yourself to feel without rushing to fix or change. Sit with your feelings. Notice where they live in your body, observe the thoughts they generate, and offer kindness to yourself in the midst of discomfort. Labeling emotions is powerful. Instead of "I am overwhelmed," try "overwhelm is present." This linguistic shift creates space between you and the feeling, allowing greater perspective and choice. You are not your emotion. You are the container, the observer, the compassionate witness. Release the need to judge your emotional responses. Allow joy to be expansive, grief to be heavy, anxiety to be restless. These are simply notes in the symphony of your human experience. If you notice judgment, "I shouldn't feel this way," gently redirect. Feelings are natural. My feelings matter. Practices such as journaling, expressive arts, and talking with trusted friends can help metabolize emotions. Sharing your feelings, rather than hiding or minimizing them, brings them into a safe light where healing can begin. Conversely, emotional suppression often leads to physical symptoms, chronic stress, or feelings of isolation. Mindfulness is a valuable ally. Notice emotions as they arise, without labeling them as good or bad. Use breathwork or grounding exercises to soothe intensity. Allow the emotion to peak and pass, like a wave rolling onto shore. Over time, you will discover that emotions lose their power to overwhelm or define you. Peace is found not by avoiding feelings, but by meeting them with honor and compassion. You learn to trust yourself, to feel fully and respond wisely. Emotional freedom is a daily practice, not a destination. Meet yourself in your full humanity, messy, beautiful, complex. The gift is living authentically, loving deeply, and embracing your life, heart, and soul. Chapter 12. The stories we tell ourselves. Belief versus truth. Human beings are natural storytellers. Our minds weave intricate narratives, from childhood memories to future predictions, self-evaluations to judgments about others. These stories shape how we see ourselves and often how we suffer. Sometimes the stories we tell are harsh, binding us to fear or shame. Other times, they offer comfort or hope. Yet the critical question remains: are our stories the truth or simply beliefs we have learned to accept? Begin with an inquiry. What stories dominate your inner dialogue? I'm not good enough. Everything must be perfect. People will reject me if I show my true self. These narratives are deeply ingrained, often rooted in past experiences, familial patterns, or cultural messages. Over time, they become invisible scripts guiding our choices, behaviors, and emotional responses. Distinguishing between belief and truth is an act of liberation. A belief is a repeated thought, sometimes useful, often inherited, rarely questioned. The truth is direct lived experience, free from distortion or interpretation. For instance, failing does not mean you are a failure. Being criticized does not prove you are worthless. These are interpretations, not facts. Challenge your stories by writing them down. See them for what they are, constructs. Ask yourself, is this absolutely true? Could there be another perspective? Opening to alternative views loosens the grip of rigid beliefs and invites compassionate self-reflection. Limiting beliefs are dissolvable. Through dialogue, therapy, or journal work, we can rewrite our mental scripts. The affirmation, "I am worthy, even if imperfect," can begin to replace, "I am fundamentally flawed." Each time you catch a negative belief, explore it with curiosity. Where did this come from? Do I need to keep believing it? Not all stories are unwelcome. Some uplift, inspire, and nurture growth. The invitation is to choose consciously. Cultivate the narratives that serve your well-being and discard those that hinder progress. Overthinking often amplifies painful stories, replaying them until they feel like reality. Mindfulness, self-compassion, and cognitive restructuring are tools to interrupt this cycle. Practice noticing the story, labeling it as a belief, and returning to the present moment. As the stories shift, so does your life. Confidence grows, relationships deepen, and possibilities expand. You are the author of your experience, capable of editing, revising, and choosing new chapters. Let go of old stories. Trust in the truth of your lived experience, fluid, changing, and always unfolding. This is the foundation of mental freedom and the heart of authentic living. Chapter 13. The courage to let go, releasing control. Control is seductive, a promise that we can shape outcomes, avoid discomfort, and engineer certainty. Yet, control is often an illusion, leading to anxiety, frustration, and disappointment. The courage to let go is an act of radical trust, a surrender to life's unpredictable current, and a return to peace. Why do we seek control? Fear is usually at the root. The fear of rejection, loss, uncertainty, or vulnerability. Attempting to control circumstances, people, or emotions is an avoidance strategy. Yet life does not obey our commands. People make choices, outcomes shift, and the unexpected arrives. Letting go is not passivity or resignation. It is conscious acceptance. It means acting where you have power, your attitudes, choices, and responses, and surrendering that which you cannot change. Other people, external events, past mistakes. Begin with self-inquiry. What am I trying to control? What fears are underneath my need for certainty? Naming these patterns is the first step toward freedom. Cultivate trust. Trust yourself to navigate whatever arises. Trust others to be themselves. Trust life to unfold, even with its uncertainties. Replace "what if" with "even if." Even if things don't go as planned, I can cope. Letting go practices include breathwork, meditation, and intentional self-talk. When the urge to control arises, pause and breathe. Visualize yourself opening your fists, loosening your grip. Invite relaxation, openness, and faith. Accept impermanence and change. Everything is in flux. Relationships, emotions, circumstances. When you relinquish control, you open to the gifts contained in each moment. Creativity, growth, and connection. Forgiveness is a radical act of letting go, releasing resentment, regret, or self-blame. It is a gift to yourself, an unburdening, and a way of choosing freedom over bitterness. Letting go does not mean disconnecting from desire or vision. It means showing up fully, doing your best, and trusting the outcome to unfold. This is mature, courageous living. Practice daily surrender. Each time you notice the urge to control, offer yourself compassion. It's okay to let go. Over time, you will discover peace in trust, resilience in acceptance, and liberation in surrender. Your courage to let go creates space for joy, spontaneity, and wisdom. Rest in the ease that comes from releasing control. This is the heart of living with clarity and freedom. Chapter 14. Simplicity is strength. Decluttering the mind. In a world saturated with information, choices, and expectations, simplicity has become an act of rebellion, a return to what matters, a shedding of the excess that crowds our minds. Decluttering the mind is not only a strategy for well-being, it is an expression of strength, clarity, and inner freedom. Mental clutter comes in many forms: to-do lists, regrets, worries, comparisons, and relentless self-criticism. Like physical clutter, it obscures what's essential, saps energy, and creates stress. The path to simplicity begins with intention, choosing to let go of mental excess. Start small. Notice one repetitive thought or worry. Is it useful, actionable, or simply noise? If not, release it, soften your focus, breathe it out, or write it down and let it go. Embrace the power of one thing. Multitasking fragments attention and increases stress. Instead, practice focusing on one task, one conversation, one intention at a time. Experience the relief and clarity this brings. Create mental space with daily rituals, morning reflection, evening journaling, or a mindful walk. These practices act as psychological declutterers, helping you sift through mental debris and settle into what matters. Digital mindfulness is essential. Limit your inputs, social media, news, notifications. Choose intentional connection, allowing your mind time to rest and reset. Unplug regularly. Notice how spaciousness and creativity flourish. Clarity of values simplifies decisions. When you know what matters, authenticity, kindness, growth, you can filter choices and commitments through this lens. This reduces overwhelm and aligns your life with your deepest priorities. Let go of perfectionism, striving to meet unrealistic standards. Clutters the mind with self-doubt and frustration. Allow yourself to be human, imperfect, evolving, worthy. Decluttering is not about emptying the mind, but about creating nourishing space for insight, peace, and inspiration. Simplicity is strength, the confidence to say no, the wisdom to choose, the courage to rest. With practice, mental clarity emerges. Your mind becomes an ally, focused and spacious. Life itself feels lighter, more vibrant, and more intentional. Simplicity is a gift you give yourself. Each time you let go of what does not serve, you make room for what truly matters. Celebrate this strength and create a life of meaning and ease. Chapter 15. Gratitude and Acceptance. Finding your inner anchor. Overthinking is rooted in the mind's perpetual movement to the past, to the future, to endless what-ifs and might-have-beens. But what would it be like to be truly anchored? To find a steady place inside, immune to the churning tides of thought. Gratitude and acceptance are two such anchors, grounding us in the reality of now and offering shelter from the storm. The everyday tyranny of thought. Imagine. You wake up in the morning, your mind already racing. Tasks to complete, conversations to replay, fears about tomorrow crowd your thoughts before your feet even touch the ground. This scenario is familiar to most, and over time, such habitual thinking can make the world feel heavy and unmanageable. The constant mental noise obscures moments of beauty, connection, and possibility. Gratitude, often discussed, seldom practiced deeply, is more than a fleeting feeling. It is the deliberate act of choosing to acknowledge what is present and good here and now, despite the mind's arguments for lack or unpreparedness. Acceptance, meanwhile, is the courage to allow each moment to exist as it is, ceasing the inner war against reality. The power of noticing. One of the first steps in anchoring yourself is to simply notice. Where is your mind going? What stories is it spinning? Pause, take a breath, and observe. Often the first response will be judgment. I shouldn't think this way. Release that and invite a question instead. What is happening right now? Into that space, invite gratitude. Begin with what is simplest, the warmth of your bed, the steadiness of your breath, the light falling through your window. These are not trivial. They are the seeds of presence. The mind, left to itself, often overlooks them in pursuit of problems to fix or worries to tend. Gratitude redirects your focus from the countless things that might go wrong to the infinitely small miracles that are already right. Acceptance, making peace with imperfection. If gratitude is noticing the good, acceptance is welcoming the imperfect. It is the willingness to allow thoughts, feelings, and circumstances to be as they are, even if just for this moment. Acceptance is not resignation. It is not giving up on growth or improvement. Rather, it is giving up the exhausting fight with reality. Think of a river. You cannot change its flow by shouting at it or wishing it would run differently, but you can learn to swim with the current, to navigate the water as it is. In your mind, Acceptance works the same way. By ceasing resistance, you find a strange paradox. You feel lighter, more resilient, and better positioned to respond wisely. Practicing gratitude and acceptance begins small. Start and end each day by naming 3 things for which you are grateful. Write them down, say them aloud, or simply hold them in your heart. When your mind races with worry or self-criticism, pause and ask, what about this moment is okay? Acceptance is cultivated through gentleness. When difficult thoughts arise, notice them without judgment. Say to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. Over time, this practice takes you from fighting your mind to relating to it as you would a child. Needing comfort, gratitude, and acceptance are not solutions to be achieved. They are habits to be nurtured. Like muscles, they grow with use. Over weeks and months, you may find your mind is slower to panic, quicker to comfort itself, and more open to joy. Crossing the threshold as we move forward, remember, the goal is not to never think or to never feel pain. It is to have a solid place within, a ground of gratitude and acceptance where you can rest, no matter how loud the world or your mind might become. In the chapters to come, you will learn how these anchors support resilience, clarity, and authentic living. But first, let them be your daily companions. Savor what is good, welcome what is, and allow yourself to be exactly where you are. Chapter 16, Building Resilience, From Setback to Strength. Resilience is often celebrated as the ability to bounce back after hardship, to recover and move on. But real resilience is deeper, a quiet, enduring strength forged not just by surviving setbacks, but by growing through them. Setbacks, the universal experience. Every person, no matter their circumstances, faces moments of disappointment, failure, or loss. Overthinkers, however, can become especially trapped, replaying mistakes and what-ifs long after the event has passed. The past becomes sticky, clinging to each present moment and sapping enthusiasm for the future. Resilience does not demand forgetting or pretending the hardship didn't matter. It asks only that we allow pain to become a teacher rather than a tyrant, the vulnerability of overthinking. When a setback occurs, a missed opportunity, an argument, a personal failure, the overthinking mind springs into analysis mode. What went wrong? Could I have done something differently? What does this say about me? Each question begets another, and soon what was a single moment of difficulty becomes a tangled knot of negative self-belief. Yet at the heart of resilience lies acceptance and self-compassion. Rather than pushing feelings away or getting stuck in endless loops, resilience invites us to relate to our suffering in a new way. Meeting pain with curiosity. Instead of silencing the pain or amplifying it, meet it with gentle curiosity. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where do I notice this in my body? What does this moment need from me? Curiosity moves you away from judgment and toward understanding. Suffering seen without condemnation is less frightening. Often we find that underneath anger or shame is a deeper longing for comfort, apology, or reassurance, needs that can be acknowledged and sometimes met. Learning the lessons. In every setback, there is information. If a relationship falters, perhaps you learn something about boundaries or courage. If a goal remains unmet, perhaps you discover where your true passions or limitations lie. Ask gently, what wants to be learned here? This too shifts the focus from blame to growth. By making space for reflection instead of rumination, you turn pain into wisdom. This transforms even the hardest moments into opportunities for depth and self-knowledge. Rewriting the inner story. Resilience is also about how we speak to ourselves. Notice your internal dialogue after a setback. Are you harsh, unforgiving, and catastrophizing, or can you bring a voice of support? Try saying, "This is hard, but I can get through it. I have overcome before, I will again." Over time, such affirmations become a shield against the harsh weather of life. Building your resilience. Muscle practice resilience with small, daily disappointments. The traffic jam, the forgotten appointment, the harsh word from a colleague. Each time, pause to feel, reflect, and respond with kindness. Like any skill, resilience is developed by repetition and consistency. Seek out supportive relationships. No one is meant to be resilient alone. Cultivate friendships where vulnerability is welcomed and strength is shared. Celebrate your successes and let others hold you up when you falter. Embracing setbacks as teachers, as your journey away from overthinking unfolds, view every setback not as an enemy, but as a messenger. With time, you will see that resilience is not simply about surviving life's challenges, but about being deeply transformed by them. Remember, growth is rarely linear. Some days will be harder than others, but each effort to meet pain with curiosity and compassion makes you stronger. Journey on and let resilience become a source of confidence, hope, and courage. Chapter 17, Clearing the Clutter. Practical tools for mental clarity. A cluttered mind is a breeding ground for overthinking. When thoughts pile up, unattended worries, old regrets, plans, they can easily overwhelm even the calmest spirit. Clearing. Mental clutter is about creating space to think clearly, to listen deeply, and to act with intention. The many forms of mental clutter. Mental clutter is not just a list of things to do. It's unfinished conversations, unresolved emotions, the relentless scroll of news and notifications. It is the shoulds and musts that crowd out quiet moments. Left unchecked, this clutter turns into anxiety, fatigue, and foggy thinking. The first step to clearing clutter is recognizing it. Take a moment and ask yourself, what is taking up the most space in my mind right now? You may notice a relentless worry, a half-remembered task, or a long-held grudge rising to the surface. External. Clutter, internal calm contrary. To what we may believe, our environments have a deep influence on our mental state. Begin by bringing order to your physical space, your desk, your room, your digital devices. Each bit of tidying clears invisible space inside you. As neuroscientists confirm, a clutter-free space supports focus and calm. Set aside 10 minutes a day to clear one small area. As you do, imagine each object or file you discard as one less worry in your mind. Practices for clarity after addressing your environment tend directly to your mind. Here are some tools. Mindful journaling. Set a timer and write for 10 minutes without censoring. Let your thoughts flow freely. When finished, notice what arises. Sometimes the act of writing is enough to lessen a thought's power. Brain dump. Each night, list all tasks, worries, and commitments. Seeing them on paper clarifies priorities and allows the mind to rest. Meditation and breath work. Sitting in stillness, focusing on your breath, or following a guided meditation helps train your mind to notice thought clutter without becoming ensnared in it. Single tasking. Rather than juggling many things at once, choose one task. Give it your full attention. When other thoughts arise, gently return to the present. Boundaries with technology. In the digital age, constant notifications and endless scrolling feed mental clutter. Create intentional pauses in your day. No phone upon waking, tech-free meals, a screen curfew at night. Let these boundaries be acts of self-care, not deprivation. The art of letting go. Some mental clutter is persistent. Old grudges, unresolved, guilt or ancient fears cling to us, masquerading as necessary concerns. Practice letting go by asking, does this serve my well-being now? If not, Offer yourself permission to release it, if only for today. Visualize setting heavy thoughts down beside you, like stones from a heavy backpack. Trust that you can always revisit them later. Most often you won't need to. Reclaiming mental space. The more space you clear, the more clarity you find. Decisions become easier, intuition grows sharper, and a sense of calm pervades even the busiest days. Clarity is not about emptying your mind, but making room for what matters. Over time, these practices become habits. You learn to pause, declutter, and return your focus to the present. The less clutter you tolerate, the less overwhelmed you feel, and the more vibrantly you can live. Chapter 18. Action over analysis. Breaking the cycle. Analysis is valuable, but action is transformative. Overthinking often masquerades as productive problem-solving, but it leads to paralysis. 1,000 plans, no steps taken. Choosing action over endless analysis is the key to escaping the overthinker's maze. The illusion of certainty. Overthinkers crave certainty, believing that just a bit more analysis will guarantee the perfect outcome. Life, however, offers no such guarantees. The pursuit of certainty keeps us circling the same decision, afraid to act and risk making a mistake. Recognize that waiting for complete certainty is a trap. Every meaningful choice carries unknowns. Instead, practice moving with enough information and trusting yourself to course correct along the way. The cost of inaction. Consider the opportunities lost by waiting for the perfect moment or plan. Relationships falter, dreams remain unrealized, and well-being suffers. Inaction, born of fear or perfectionism, is itself a choice, one with real consequences. Reflect on a moment when inaction brought regret. Let this awareness motivate you, not toward reckless decisions, but toward gentle, brave action. The smallest step when stuck. Break any task into the smallest possible step. If starting a project, begin by opening a new document. If mending a relationship, start with one text message or a kind word. Action, however slight, disrupts the loop of overthinking. Rewards come quickly. Each step brings feedback and learning. As you act, new information emerges, data that no amount of analysis could provide. Failure as a teacher. Overthinking often springs from fear of failure. Reframe failure as information. Consider, what would I do if I weren't afraid of failing? Allow action to teach you what works and what doesn't. Remember, most successful individuals have failed repeatedly, learning and growing in the process. Each attempt is a mark of courage and resilience. The power of routine. Establish habits that encourage action. Set aside time each day for tasks you resist, and reward yourself for effort, not just outcome. Habits bypass the overthinking mind by making action automatic. Surround yourself with supporters who value progress over perfection. Let their energy inspire and sustain your momentum. Embracing imperfection. Recognize that perfect outcomes are illusions. Aim for good enough and trust yourself to adjust as needed. Each imperfect step builds confidence in your ability to adapt and respond. Trusting the journey. Overcoming overthinking is less about thinking differently than it is about living differently. By prioritizing action over endless analysis, you step out of mental quicksand and into the freedom of real experience. Choose movement, however small. Take your first step now and watch your life unfold in unexpected, rewarding ways. Chapter 19. Rediscovering authenticity. Trusting your true self. To move beyond overthinking is to return home to your authentic self. Years of self-doubt, comparison, and fear of judgment can obscure your spirit. Rediscovering your authenticity. It's about learning to trust yourself again. The mask of overthinking. Overthinkers often wear masks, curated personas designed to please, protect, or hide vulnerability. Thought spirals around others' expectations, social pressures, and past criticism, gradually distancing us from our inner voice. The truth, however, is that authenticity is not something you must invent. It is what remains when the layers of doubt, fear, and pretense fall away. Your authentic self is steady, wise, and deeply deserving of trust. Recognizing disconnection, notice moments when you feel disconnected from yourself. Agreeing when you want to say no, apologizing for your feelings, and silencing your instincts. These are traces of overthinking intruding where trust should reside. Reflect. In what moments do I feel most myself? With whom can I be honest, messy, and unafraid? These touchpoints illuminate your path back to authenticity. Practices of reconnection, self-reflection. Spend quiet time each day asking, what do I truly want or need? Let your answers arise without judgment. Boundaries. Protect your energy by saying no when needed. Each boundary is an act of self-trust. Creative. Expression. Paint, dance, sing, or write without aiming for perfection. Creativity bypasses the inner critic and reconnects you to your core. Honest communication. Practice sharing your feelings, even if your voice shakes. Authenticity thrives on openness. The courage to be seen. Authenticity is inherently vulnerable. It means being seen, known, and sometimes misunderstood. It is natural to fear rejection or criticism, but deeper, beneath that fear, lies the longing to live a true and full life. Remind yourself, no one is liked by everyone, and no one is immune to being misunderstood. Choose to value your alignment over approval, trusting your inner wisdom. Return often to your intuition, that quiet sense inside that knows what feels right or wrong. The more you listen, the louder and clearer this voice becomes. Overthinking grows quieter as trust grows stronger. Celebrating your unique path, your journey is yours alone. Measure progress by your own values, not by comparison to others. Celebrate small acts of honesty and self-expression. Over time, these acts accumulate, and your authentic self stands rooted and undeniable. A lifetime practice. Authenticity is a practice renewed every day. It is not about achieving perfection, but about returning again and again to what feels real and whole. As you reclaim trust in yourself, life becomes richer, simpler, and much more peaceful. Chapter 20. Simplicity and Freedom. Living beyond overthinking. Imagine a life unburdened by constant rumination, one marked by freedom, ease, and joy. Living beyond overthinking is possible, and simplicity is the door. The appeal of simplicity complexity feeds the overthinking mind. Too many choices, too many commitments, too much information. Simplicity, by contrast, is the conscious choice to pare down, focus, and live with intention. Simplicity is not about deprivation, but about making room for what matters most. It is about owning your time, protecting your peace, and letting go of the superfluous. Clearing commitments. Examine your calendar and obligations. What brings you energy? Which drain do you use? Begin the courageous work of editing your life. Release what is unnecessary, delegate when possible, and prioritize what aligns with your values. Each no makes space for a more wholehearted yes. Savoring the present simplicity invites you to return again and again to the present moment. Whether savoring a meal, walking outdoors, or sharing conversation, focus your attention fully. Each moment, fully lived, quiets the overactive mind. Rituals. For freedom, embrace daily rituals, morning stretches, mindful tea, evening reflection that provide structure and calm. Rituals turn ordinary moments into sacred pauses, supporting your intention to live simply and well. Saying no to perfectionism. Simplicity requires releasing perfectionism. Accept that good enough is often sufficient. Allow yourself the freedom to be imperfect and notice how much lighter life becomes. The gift of space-unfilled moments are not empty. They are fertile ground for creativity, rest, and self-connection. Resist the urge to fill every minute. Let boredom, solitude, and silence be teachers, sustaining your simpler life. Living simply and freely is a practice to be renewed daily. Expect moments of clutter or busyness and return gently to your intention. With each day, you reinforce the habits and choices that make overthinking less compelling, the fruits of simplicity. At last, peace is less an end goal and more a way of being. Life becomes manageable, meaningful, and wonderfully yours. This is the true freedom that waits beyond the fog of overthinking. If you found this video helpful, inspiring, or entertaining, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on future content. Your support means the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.